Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific, and I am talking to you from the IFC Mall and High Rise Tower here in Hong Kong this morning. Today, I want to talk about Hong Kong taxi cab and minibus drivers. Everybody knows that the driving in Hong Kong is crazy, but I want to target these two people because they seem to be a cut above for being the worst drivers on Hong Kong streets. But before I get started, let's give a disclaimer. This video does not apply to all taxi cab and minibus drivers. There are many fine, outstanding, safety conscience, personal skill, customer service oriented taxi cab and minibus drivers that are to be lauded and do their job faithfully, lawfully, safely, and conscientiously every day. That being said, let me give some background about myself. I have driven semi-trucks minus the trailer. I have driven pickup trucks, cars, and automobiles, all for employment purposes. I have driven school buses, charter buses, and rural transit buses all over America. My driving record is excellent. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. I do not consider myself to be perfect, but my driving record is outstanding. I don't drink, so therefore I've never drank and drive. No DUIs, no parking tickets, no speeding tickets, etc. Except when I was a young adult, before I got into commercial driving, I had a couple of speeding tickets and stupid stuff. Minor, young adult, immature stuff. That being said, when I drove a school bus, I was very passenger conscientious. That's when I changed my driving. You be careful around people, especially when you're wielding a vehicle of any size. I have driven in snow and icy conditions in northern Minnesota. I've driven in Denver, Colorado. I've driven in the metro. I've driven in the country. I've driven in ice storms, freezing rain storms. I have driven in hellacious windstorms where the bus is blowing like this as I'm going 55 miles per hour. My driving record is safe. I have driven in all adverse and inclement weather. In our country, we are taught to use turn signals, make a complete stop at a stop sign, not jostle passengers out of their seats, slow down and avoid bumps if possible, and go around the corners at a reasonable speed, and to always drive for the existing road conditions. That would include weather, traffic, crowds of people, ice, snow, and glaring sun in your eyeballs. I have noticed something with the taxi cab and minibus drivers in Hong Kong. First, let me say, a couple months ago in the Hong Kong Standard, I read an article that said that the insurance rates were going to go up on minibus drivers and taxi cabs. Good. I heartily applaud that. These people are bad drivers. For those that are good, I'm sorry you have to get penalized. But Hong Kong needs to do something in their traffic enforcement and transportation department about these people. They need to be retrained. Some of them need to be fired. Some of them need to have their license revoked for life. I have noticed a very strong, aggressive manner with these drivers. They bully pedestrians. They fly down the roads, laying on the horns, sometimes not honking, and they come within a half an inch of their mirrors taking out somebody's head, whatever. Why it is that these people feel that they can zoom through crowded pedestrian areas, marketplaces, and places where there's tourists, Hong Kong residents, whatever, and almost take out a human life is beyond my ability to comprehend. Me, I'm scared of hitting somebody. When there's people, I slow way down, and we don't have the crowds in the places I've been in that Hong Kong packs every day. Minibus drivers and taxi cabs, many of them fail to use turn signals when making lane changes, left turns, right turns. They fail to come to a complete stop at stop signs if they stop at all. And that being said, I have come to a stop sign that the taxi cab or the minibus had. I step out on the street, they're still coming, and they will lay on the horn and blast right through. They don't care about the pedestrians, and they didn't even make a complete stop. The other day in Sheungwan, I saw a public light minibus blow through a stop sign, and he was smoking a cigarette, which is against the law in Hong Kong. I have noticed that these guys are driving too fast for conditions all of the time. One day I was up on the Garden Road area, and I saw a minibus come down. It had rained. There was water on the road. He came around one of those hairpin left turns too fast. The bus slid sideways, and he almost lost the thing. I don't know what kind of training these guys get. I don't know what kind of test or retesting they have to take. But in the U.S., for any bus driving job I have, we have to have, of course, physicals, drug testing, and all that. And for school bus, we have to be tested with the district or the company we work for pretty much annually. In Minnesota, we have to have a written test every 2 years, and we have to have ride-along checks where they check the driver, everything that we're doing. I don't know if they do that here, but it might be a good idea. The other thing I notice about the drivers of these said vehicles here is they are stone-faced, emotionless, calloused zombies. They seem to have no compassion or humanity about them when they're driving. I have stepped out, taxi comes out of nowhere, they're right in my kneecap with the front end of their bumper. I have taken my hand and hit the flat of their hood, and they just stare straight ahead, unfazed. And these people are hauling passengers. Pretty scary. I wouldn't want my son on those taxis. I have ridden a few of those taxis, and a few times I came real close to saying, stop the car, I want out. Let's talk about taxi cab ethics. Some of them don't know how to speak English, and I understand that. We are patient with you, some of us. But one of the things that bothers me is several Filipino, Indonesian, and other friends that I have had knew where they were going. They got in the taxi, told them the directions. Some of these were main common taxi cab stops and places, and the taxi cab took a completely long way around, and the Filipino, the Indonesian, or some of my friends, white people, whoever, have told the taxi, you're going the wrong way, and they ignore them, and then they charge them double the rate. I don't know why they're doing that, but that should be illegal as all get out. You're supposed to go the shortest distance between 2 points, if possible, barring road construction, road shutdowns, and accidents. Let's talk about accidents. Since I have been here, this time and last time, I have seen several accidents involving taxi cabs. One of them, down here by Worldwide, a taxi pulled out from the far leftmost lane, no turn signal, zipped at a right angle across 3 lanes without proper lane change procedures, and cut off a city bus, getting hit by the city bus. Taxi cab driver was at fault. Imagine that. I wonder if it registered with the cab driver up here. Last night, a taxi cab hit a motorcycle. Fortunately, the driver of the bike was standing and okay. Taxi cab sustained heavy front end damage. And the guy just sat in his car, stone-faced, twiddling his fingers on the steering wheel with the whole, okay, let's get this over with so I can get on with my life. They need to have psychological testing for these people driving these cars and see if they're made for people or not. They need to see if they care about human life. I've seen, when I was here in 2009, 2010, up in the Conduit Road area, I saw a taxi cab come around a left turn where he had a yield sign, he was making a right turn onto a major road. He had a give-way yield sign. He blew through there. He had full visibility, and he hit a highway worker's cart so hard it knocked the old man backwards. I had to stand and give evidence to the police, and the guy went to court. Fortunately, he admitted guilt, so I was sent a message saying that I did not have to show up because he admitted guilt. The taxi cab driver did not even get out of the car to make sure the guy was okay. He sat behind the wheel, stone-faced, as the guy lay on his back. It is disgusting that these people are hauling human cargo. I have watched all kinds of things, and one of the things that I'm amazed at here, and it might be a cultural thing, I don't know. But the taxi cabs get in a traffic jam behind trucks and other vehicles. Nobody can move, and somebody, usually the taxis, are honking at the end of the line, laying on the horn, and then the taxi cab in front of him lays on the horn, and it's just constant noise. I don't know if you taxi cabs know this, but in the U.S. when we're in a traffic jam, people get impatient, but we don't honk. The horn doesn't do anything. It doesn't make the car in front of you move. I don't know what kind of IQ level you have, but you ought to know that. Sitting in traffic, laying on your horns, especially where some of us live and got to hear that all day, it's irritating. There's times I've wanted to throw a bowling ball out my window on the hood of some of these cars and say, shut up. Maybe that would be fun. I wouldn't do it, so that's not a threat. But the point is, these are drivers. They should be smart enough to know when you're in a traffic jam, the horn isn't going to make anybody move. You just got to wait. The other thing it does is contribute to the deafening noise pollution in Hong Kong anyway, and most of us are getting sick and tired of horns. They're not doing any good. Laying on the horn to bully pedestrians out of the way just makes people mad, and then you wonder why people kick the side of your car and hit it. And you're going to get charged for the damage. So you might want to think about what you're doing. And taxi cab drivers, I know that if you take out a human life, and you minibus drivers, you're going to go to court, and you're going to have a lot of testifying to do, and you're going to get charged with vehicular homicide. Maybe they don't do that here. I did see a case where a minibus ran through a bunch of people, hit somebody, and he got slapped on the wrist for something like 6 months. I'm going, you've got to be kidding. In the U.S., in a bus, if I hit a person and I'm at fault, my commercial driver's license goes bye-bye. And I will not be working for driver hire again. They need to do that here. The other thing I heard, and maybe somebody could correct me on this, is the taxi cab drivers have to rent the taxi cab that they're using. So they're driving around like chickens with their head cut off to make the money back that they paid for rent so they can start making a profit. They tried that with a pizza food chain in the U.S. where they hired drivers to deliver pizza and they paid them only commission. So the drivers were driving around breaking all the rules of the road to make enough commission to make enough money in the night. The insurance companies refused to insure them, and I don't know if OSHA got involved, but somebody told the restaurant chain that you have to start paying the drivers a minimum wage plus tips, etc., etc. All of a sudden, the driving cleaned up. They need to do something about Hong Kong taxi cabs. Where they're in a frenetic hurry to make their boundary plus a profit, lives are at risk. Not a good plan. That's pretty much all I have to say about it, but I find most of the taxi cab drivers and minibus drivers to be lawless, rude, compassionless, and completely devoid of any customer service skills. I have seen a lot of reckless driving with even the big city buses and regular Joe drivers in Hong Kong, but the city buses, or excuse me, the Hong Kong public light bus and the taxi cab drivers, you get the award for being the #1 worst on the road. And for those of you that are good, I'm sorry. I'm not lumping you in with the some, but all we see on Hong Kong Island side is the color red and the nasty yellow color of the public light bus, and most of the time, we're dodging them like dodgeball. This is Pacific signing off, and I hope for those that drive, try to wake up and start your day with a little patience, a little calmness, and be a little more safety conscious. You're responsible for human cargo, and those of us walking the streets, you got to slow down. We're people too. We're just as much right to live as you do, and some of us got to make a living too to pay our bills. Please don't run us down. Have a wonderful Hong Kong day. Bye-bye.